Hello again, everyone. I'm here with a follow-up on some of my Escoda brushes, my Escoda travel brushes. When I did my video going through my travel brushes, which I will link below, someone commented and said that my Escoda brushes that I was kind of complaining about their quality were that they didn't look right and that I should reach out to Escoda. So I did reach out to Escoda and they were super, super nice. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to put this up on the channel, just to tell you about my experience with them. So essentially they said, well, make sure you're using plenty of water with your brushes, which I do. So that wasn't an issue, but I went back and tested my brushes again and they just really weren't coming to a point. So I had 3 Escoda Reserva brushes, a 2, a 6, and an 8. The 6 was fine. It came to a point. So I told them that the 2 and the 8 were not coming to a point, and then my Escoda Ultimo number 2 was also not coming to a point, and it really just was, this one was probably the worst of the bunch. That and the number 8 for some reason in the Reserva. So I sent them pictures. I sent them pictures with the brushes dry and wet and after I'd used them. And they were like, oh, we'll definitely replace them. We'll send you replacements, which I was like, oh, cool, right? Thanks. So, and they actually came in record time. I was really surprised because they're coming directly from Spain. So as you can see here, I wanted to put them side by side to show you the old and the new. They have not been used. I have not tried these out at all, but I'm going to try them on camera today. And I'll do a test of the old versus the new, and we'll see how it goes. The only paper that I had handy was a rough watercolor paper. I don't know if that's the best one to do the test for this, but that's what I have handy here. And it's also a chance for me to show you the paper that I'm using, which will be this this Shizen professional grade watercolor paper. It's actually quite nice. I've been doing some painting on them and they're really quite nice. So I'll show you that when we test out the brushes. And I have some water off to the side here to do that as well. So I will just go through these really quickly as they came. So this is my old one. This is the new one that I just got. You can see it's already at a very sharp point, but it still has the gum arabic on it to keep it together. So once I'm going to do another side-by-side comparison once I have gotten the gum arabic off with some water, and we'll see if they look any better. So this is the 8 in the Reserva. Okay, and so this is the number 2. This is the old one, and this is the new one. I can already see that the new one is still a little frayed. One of the things that they did say in their email to me, the Escoda company, is that they've been having a really hard time getting quality Kolinsky sable, which is what these 2 brushes are made out of. And they said it's just really hard nowadays, and I suspect that a lot of companies are probably not going to be carrying the Kolinsky sable anymore. I mean, it's twofold, right? One, it's hard to get, and 2, it's an animal product, and you know, I'm not a fan of animal cruelty. I do not know how they make the brushes, but you know, it's usually never good when you're dealing with animal products. So my thought is that for myself, I'm probably going to be switching to synthetic brushes. I might try to wean myself by doing blend synthetic and natural hair blends for a while and then go to all synthetics. They've actually been issuing recently some really good synthetic brushes, different companies have. So I'm hoping as the technology progresses, they might end up being just as good, if not, well, I don't know if we can say better than, say, Kolinsky sable, which tends to be my favorite type of brush because I kind of like my brushes to be a little bit stiff and have some spring to them. Because even with this old one, which is not that great, if you let it go, it springs back into position. Okay, so like I said, this still has the gum arabic on it to keep the brush brush hairs together. So I will wet that up and compare that again. And then this is probably the most dramatic difference. the Ultimo number 2. I don't know what happened to this Ultimo. It's really terrible. So I was glad I was able to get it replaced. So I'm going to open up my water over here, and then I'm going to take these new brushes, swirl it around, and that gum arabic actually comes out pretty fast. So rinse it out, and then I'm going to wipe that one on a towel just real quickly. Okay, so again, this is coming to a really nice point now that it's wet, and it doesn't have, I've rinsed out, if not all, most of the material, the gum arabic. But as you can see, this is a huge difference. I'm going to wet the other one too so that we can get a proper comparison. So this one you can see that's and I did not shape this one other than playing with it on here on camera. I just basically rinsed it in the water, wiped it a little bit on a paper towel, and then this is it. And I did the same with my old one. So the exact same process, and you could definitely tell the difference. So new is on the left, old is on the right. Huge difference. Okay, we'll test those out. And then I'm going to take the new number 2 Reserva. Okay. And then, okay, so here is the new Reserva with that gum arabic rinsed out, and the old one, and then I'm going to wet the old one again so we can have that direct comparison. Okay, not as dramatic as a difference, but you can definitely see that the one on the right is a little bit frayed up at the top. And I mean, this one is not going anywhere. This one, as I do that, it's kind of fraying, and this one is just, it just keeps coming back to a point, if you could see that. Okay, and we'll test those as well. And then I'm going to take this one. This one might take a little bit longer because the brush head is larger, so it has more stuff to rinse out in theory. So, and I'm doing sort of a figure 8 in the water cup, and that is supposed to get the most thorough rinsing of your brush. Okay, I think we're almost there. Okay, so I'm taking that out of the water, and see, that is coming to a lovely point. Okay, and then I'm going to rinse the old one. Okay, and you can definitely tell this is probably another pretty dramatic difference here. You can see that the one on the right is all frayed up at the top. And even though it's coming to a point, it's still frayed. Okay, and so if I do that, and then this one, it's fraying a little bit, but it's definitely not as pronounced as the old one. Okay, so let's get down to testing these. Oh, and then I realized I'm going to need watercolor to test these out. Let me reach over here, and I just randomly picked out a palette. Okay, so this is sort of my neutral palette here. And let me get the paper. Okay, and we'll go in reverse order. I will, and see, the longer these are sitting out, the more you can really tell. In this case, the one on the left is the old one, the one on the right is the new one. That's a pretty dramatic difference. Even trying to put it back, it's just really not going back, the one on the left. Okay, so I'm going to do the old one first. So let's do, let's go with green gold. So this is Roman Schmal green gold. And like I said, the rough paper is not really the best to do the examples here, because if I try to do thick and thin, okay, so that's the old one. And after using it, okay, it's still not really coming to a point. So that's a problem, okay? And as you can see, I'm not getting a sharp point here in the middle when I lift up, because normally you'd get a much thinner line when you're doing that. So let's see if we can get that with the new one. So see, so I'm getting, so this is rough paper, so you're obviously going to have some, I want to call them holidays. That's kind of what you call them in printmaking when there's little white showing through. But you're getting less of those with the new one, and that to me means that this is holding more water and it is putting down paint more evenly, which is a plus. So I'm going to rinse that out again, go back into the green gold, and then see, you can get it's coming up to a point way easier. Yeah, so that's what you want to see. Okay, so that is a dramatic difference. So that is fantastic. And now I have a wonderful size 8 travel brush in Kolinsky Sable. I'm so excited. Because yeah, I was so disappointed with the Escoda, and I'm really glad that that person made the comment on my blog, or I was gonna say on my blog. Those were the old days. I had a blog back in the day, but on my YouTube channel, because I never would have thought to reach out to them, especially for brushes that I got off of Amazon, because I figured, buyer beware, right? But they really were quite fantastic, and we're really happy to replace them. And that's not a cheap brush, although I did get it kind of cheap on Amazon. So it's probably, you get what you pay for. Okay, so this is the Escoda Reserva number 2, and you can see, or at least I think you can see, when I'm brushing over, it's not that great. Like, it's really brushy, if that makes any sense. Okay, so then I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the same exercise. Okay, so I'm kind of still coming to a point, but there are some bits there where it's not laying down the paint. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with the new one. Same color. Okay. That seems about the same. It doesn't hold a lot of water as a size 2. I'm going to try that again. Okay. So that's a little bit better. And then let's go in here again, and then I'm going to do so see, again, I think that is a little bit better. It's harder to tell with the number 2, I think. I mean, it's really pronounced with the number 8, because it holds more water generally, so you're able to see the difference. But I am still seeing a difference, like especially here where you're not getting as much color put down. Okay. Close those up. And then the last one, and I definitely think we're going to see a difference here. So I'm going to do the old one first, like I've been doing. I'm going to do that one here, up on top of each other. So this is the old one. It's actually putting down a fairly good amount of paint there. But let's see what happens when we do the thick and thin. Okay. But you can see here, it really didn't come back to a point. Okay. And we didn't get little thin lines in between the thick parts. So that needs to be rinsed out a little bit more. It's very interesting that number 2 seemed to hold more water than the Kolinsky Sable did. All right, and then I'm going to go with the new one. Okay, so we're getting a thicker application of paint. I would say these two, you know, it could be also, you know, how much paint I ended up putting on the brush. Okay, so let's try thick and thin. So see, I'm getting really thin, thick, really thin, thick. Yeah, so that is a huge difference there. Much more control. Well, I probably should have put all the new ones to bottom and all the old ones up top, but anyway. So I think you can really tell the difference. Oh, sorry. I think the most pronounced differences are with this size 8, because you're really getting more of a thick and thin here, and you're getting a more even application of paint with the new brush. And then here with the Ultimo, you're really, I mean, I could not control this to get a thin line, but this one, super thin and lots of variation, which is great. Couldn't tell as much with this just laying down paint. And this one, you know, this one's a little more uneven, you can kind of tell. But again, it's a little bit hard with the, first off with the smaller brush, and also with the fact that there's this rough paper. So, but in any case, I am super stoked about the new brushes. I'm really happy that they replaced them, because now I feel like I have 3 quality brushes instead of 3 brushes that I thought, oh, this company's not so great. So, putting that watercolor back away. All right. And I am going to have to label these new ones because they don't have any labels on them. That's the only way I can tell the old from the new right now, because I have labels on the ones that I had before. But I did want to follow up on that video, test these out, show you how much better these new brushes are. And I would say, based on these new brushes, I wholeheartedly recommend Escoda for travel brushes. Before, it was sort of a, you know, buyer beware. I don't know what you're going to get. But I think this is a lesson in, for quality brushes, buy directly from the source, or, you know, from a reputable art supply company, because I don't think Amazon is the right place to get these. My guess, this is what I've been suspecting, is that they probably had some dud brushes and then they put them all together in a set. At least that's for these. And then this one, I don't know, it was just a single dud brushes, because single dud brush, because I did get these, including the 6, all together in a set. And they were kind of all not great. But like I said, the number 6 is okay, so I didn't ask them to replace that one. All right, so that was kind of a long video, but I'm now singing Escoda's praises, and I just wanted to let you all know how that worked out. All right, thanks so much for watching. Feel free to like and or subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.